going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
These are good problems to have, right?
Very.
So much success that you have more than one place to be.
5-3, touchdown, Oregon.
Off a dribble, launches, and hits the three. Oregon leads.
What a great opportunity it is to be able to play at University of Oregon.
I'm just incredibly proud to be a part of something like this.
She wants another three. Oh, three in a row.
Oregon is headed to the Super Regional. Big Ten champions, your Oregon Ducks.
We are so privileged and so fortunate. We get to see all these young people. We get to see this incredible growth, which is what college is all about.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
We've got a lot to cover today, and it's all because of one Chris Clayton, who's here directing the show today. But yesterday afternoon, he sat down for an extended end-of-year interview with Oregon women's basketball head coach Kelly Graves. Coach Graves is actually on the road today. He'll tell you about that during this conversation. But it's outstanding I want to say, it's really outstanding of Coach Graves to always come into the Country Financial Studio and talk, and did it all season long with Chris. It was outstanding content, and we have that for you coming up in 3 parts. So that just tells you we have an hour-long program, and we're going to cover most of the program with Kelly Graves, just talking about the state of the program and looking ahead to what this team could look like next year, because it happens so fast. You already are turning the page toward a new season. We'll also continue to debrief men's basketball. Some great thoughts from assistant coach Mike Mena after the loss and where the program is going. We've got that for you. Men's and women's golf wrapping up, and we'll continue to check in with spring sports as well. Well, Chris is here, so I'm going to make him put his headset on. Kelly Graves, you've now spent 2 seasons with Kelly Graves, Chris. What a guy. I mean, what a guy.
No doubt. I mean, it's you could just see the joy as a coach that has been around for a long time. He admitted in our conversation that he's been coaching for 38 years, longer than both of us have been alive.
That's right.
And, it took him a little bit to embrace the transfer portal. And he still admitted he thinks it's, maybe not great for the game of college basketball, but when you're a powerhouse program and you're trying to compete with the best, you've got to embrace it. And he has, to the point where in our conversation you could see his joy. You could feel his joy. He even said, you know what, I'm kind of having fun with this. Yeah. The coaches all gathered, and they were in the coaches' room in the office writing up names on the whiteboard and talking about who they've contacted, who's gotten back to them. It just became like a game and a fun process trying to bring these players in. And it's cool to see a coach who, like he admitted, he's 62 years old. He said, I feel like I'm 40 years old. He's loving life and loving this era of college basketball, and it's just cool to see somebody like him fully embrace it, and you kind of have to.
I love the fact that he is, one, always so open, but two, the energy is just off the charts. And you can see why when he talks about being re-energized, that's what it's all about. Now, it wasn't all good, right? You want to still be playing at this point. It's really hard to win the last game. Duck women and Duck men, one of the last 32 playing. Doesn't make it any easier, but I think you're going to enjoy tuning in to what Coach Graves had to say. So yesterday afternoon, Chris sat down with Oregon women's basketball head coach Kelly Graves.
In studio with Ducks head coach Kelly Graves. Coach, thanks for coming over.
Yeah, good to be here.
Coming off the trip from Durham, North Carolina, and you don't really have a lot of time to breathe, right? It's a full season, right into the off season, and you're just picking up where you left off.
Yeah, it has been kind of a whirlwind. We got home late Sunday night, after the game. This is spring break for us this week, and so I told all the returners, we have 9, I told them all that I wanted to meet with everybody Monday morning, and I did. And to their credit, they all got up. It was a long trip, and we got home really late, and I met with everyone by 11 a.m. Just to talk about, the future, and just to, touch base before they left for their spring break. And it was real positive. Man, it was a good morning. And then today, of course, the portal opened, and it's like Christmas to some degree in March. But it can be a little hectic. We've as a coaching staff, you put together a list throughout the year of people you think you might or that might go in the portal at some point, and then you add to that list through the year. And so we've kind of been ready, and a lot of the ones that we thought were going to go in are in, and so we've done some legwork already. Yeah, but you want to be on it as soon as you can. And so my phone's been ringing. I've talked to people all around the world today.
Wow.
Just got off the phone like 5 minutes before I got here to an agent in Australia, and it's just it's never ending. It's portal season. So so it's a little busy, but that's okay. It's what we do. We get paid. This is our job.
Yeah.
Right?
How has this week changed for you since the emergence of the portal? Was this a week usually where you would kind of wind down a little more?
Yeah, 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know when the portal started. It's been a few years now. But, yes, this was the time you would take some time off, a month even. I mean, obviously, you go into the office, you still got to work with your players. But we've always given our players 2 to 3 weeks off after the season. I think it's just important to decompress, to get your academics back in order and just, kind of get rejuvenated. And, and there were certain months of the season when you could, as a coach, they were the light times. May was always a good month. Well, now they've added a recruiting weekend in May, and they've done it in June. June was also kind of your camp month. And, there were different times. Not anymore, man. It is portal season all year. You are always recruiting, and that's how it's changed, I think, the most.
Well, we'll talk more about the portal. Let's go back to the Duke game and just the NCAA tournament run in general. I mean, you come down to the wire at Duke in a true road game. When you were able to kind of sit down and think about that game and that tournament run and the success in Durham, what comes to mind?
Well, we've had great history there. We're 3-1 in the tournament on that court. Listen, I'm not going to make excuses. This is what we do in the women's game. I think it's a travesty that you have to play a high seed on their home floor. It just, it just makes for fewer upsets, you know. Could you imagine if Duke and Florida and Auburn and them, they got 2 home games to start the tournament? How many 13, 14, 15, 16 seeds would win?
Right.
It's just you just don't see that on the women's side like ever. And, and I'm not making an excuse because that's where we're at. And we've been the host team several times. So, I'm not just speaking because we had to travel this year. I was in favor of neutral sites, even when we were hosting all those years. But I'm just really proud of our team. My goodness, we played hard. I mean, if you watched us play in 2 games, we played hard. I think we maximized our effort. We maximized our talent. We just came up a little bit short against Duke, but we played well enough to win. We just weren't quite as sharp as we were the day 2 days before against Vanderbilt. But to give ourselves a chance, listen, that's all we wanted. And we talked to our team about shortening the game. That first quarter we had a little 3-point lead. Okay, now it's a 30-minute game. And then at halftime we had a lead. And then even that third quarter, they had taken the lead. We kind of had a tough quarter, but we were still in the game and had a chance. And that's all we wanted to do. And it just, unfortunately, we didn't make the plays late. They did. We had a couple opportunities to really tighten it up even more. But it was a good effort, and I'm just happy for our players to go out on that note. Listen, 67 of the 68 teams go home with a loss.
Right.
You don't want that to be a blowout. You don't want that to be the last image of your season. And we gave it everything we had, and so we can hang our heads high, or hold them high, not hang them high, I guess. Hold them high and be proud of what we did this year. It was a really good year. Plus, I think the Vandy game was our 20th win, right?
Yes. That's
so another
8 in your 11 years.
Season.
Yep.
So, a lot of great things that came of this trip.
And you've spoken so highly about this senior class. Deja Kelly, Philly Che, Peyton Scott, Nani Falatea, Lexi Whitfield, Salimatu Karuma. And you said that they've kind of re-energized the program, got everything back on track. How are they able to come together on such a short term and accomplish that?
Well, because they're amazing people. They really are. Egoless, selfless, great teammates. They were the whole package. I've been so impressed with all of them. I've been coaching 38 years, right? Longer than either of you two. We got Joey Mack over here. Have been alive. Have been on this earth.
It's true.
This might have been my, I wouldn't call it my favorite because I've had so many favorite teams, but the team that had the fewest amount of dramatic instances, right? There was no drama. Everybody got along. You were around the team.
Yeah.
It was just like, and with 15 players to have that happen, no drama during a season is like unheard of.
Yeah.
And I think it's because we had great leadership. We had, true Ducks, kids that really wanted to be here. They were bought in. They were invested into the program, and again, just selfless people, and it was really a fun year to be with them. And I'm re-energized as a coach.
Yeah.
I'm 62, but I feel like I'm 40 again. And just really excited that we can have this kind of a positive experience and a positive season.
Well, and when you bring a player in for 1 year, from the outside, I think for some fans, they're not sure, how much do they love being at Oregon? Are they just trying to use it for 1 year? But this group of players, they love being Ducks, and you could see it in their passion on the court.
Start with Deja. Outwardly you would think, oh, prima donna, she's got all this. Hey, I'm telling you, she is as hard a working person, humble, a leader, gives of herself to juggle the things that she has to in her life. She's with some companies, guys, big time brands that require her to be here and there and make appearances, and then she does her own stuff on the Big Ten Network and on ESPN. And oh, by the way, she's still a student in a graduate program, right, and a good student and an athlete and a really good basketball player. It's incredible. So you start with her. If she came in and thought she was too good for everybody, then it wouldn't have worked. But that's not who she is. Peyton Scott, the heart and soul of the program, has given everything to us, including a lot of body parts. Thank goodness we have that cemetery right in the middle of campus, because my goodness sakes, that kid has given some limbs to the university. You could bury him there. But she, I don't mean that to be disrespectful.
No, I think she would
every time I do, my last name is Graves, by the way. Every time I drive by that, I do the same joke with the kids or the team. People are just dying to get in there. It's an oldie but a goodie. So
she would laugh at that joke too.
Yeah, she would. But Peyton, I'm telling you, she has surgery here later this week too, and unfortunately, she did some damage on her knee. But she's. We hopefully she'll still be able to play in the future. We'll see. That's still up in the air. But Nani Falatea, had an incredible year, very consistent, just a model student athlete again in her own right. Lexi Whitfield, she had a lesser role toward the end of the year, but never complained, never whined, continued to work hard each and every day. Solly, I feel really sorry for Solly. She just never was healthy and never got to play. And then, of course, Philly. And we owe a great deal to Philly. What a great career. She was 5 points away from making the 1,000 club. And I feel for her, but you know what? She missed about 500 layups in her career, so she had plenty of opportunity. Yeah, I kid her all the time, one of the best rebounders in the country. But my goodness, I said, Philly, if you take away your own misses, what the heck? Yeah, I can say that to her because she knows I love her, and I tell her every day.
Yes.
So, but she means so much. She's going to go down as one of the most beloved Ducks of all time. Everybody loves her, and she's become just an amazing young woman as well. She came here with very little confidence in herself, and now you look at her and how she's grown, and my goodness, what a difference.
What a difference. For real. I just love Coach Graves being able to break everybody down in that way. And, he has said a couple times now about the hosting, right? So it's relatively common in a lot of NCAA sports that like the high seeds host. In volleyball, the high seeds host the first couple rounds. I just think that in women's basketball, it's on our minds so much. Like, look at the Ducks on the men's side. They go to Seattle, and it's like, wow, get to go to Seattle. This is great. Like, it's close. So last year, Oregon was in Pittsburgh, right? So I think the comparison with the men and the women, it's just so apt by Coach Graves there. Like, I agree, honestly. Like, I personally would love to see, like, host sites for these games. I think as that sport continues to grow in popularity, the attendance numbers continue to grow, you're not going to have, like, empty arenas, because I know that's part of the draw of let's have the high seed host, the first 2 rounds of the tournament, because you get a crowd, right? You get a lot of fans. I would like to see what it would look like. What if USC, for example, or UCLA was a 1 seed and they played in Seattle, or they played in Denver. Those were the men's sites. Now you got to have enough cities and facilities that say, hey, we want to host this. And the way it works, there's a host institution. So like in Seattle, even though it was at Climate Pledge Arena for men's basketball, it was hosted by the University of Washington. They had some extra time on their hands this week, so it worked out well. But the truth is that like that's the direct comparison, I think, between the men and the women. It makes it so apparent to me. I don't know. Chris is here. You've now experienced it a little bit. Like you went to Duke.
Yeah.
I've always thought that it'd be fun for the women's tournament to have those host sites rather than a home hosted for the high seed.
I totally agree, and I think that's that point you brought up is the growth of the popularity and the growth of the TV ratings. Everything's growing with the women's game, and that's, I think, a next step is to be able to have those neutral sites. I think part of the complications would be how many sites are available and willing to do it, because with the men's tournament, you have X amount of sites around the country already hosting. You start to get log jammed and finding arenas and cities that are willing to do it.
And it's hockey and basketball season already professionally.
Take, for example, when the Ducks were in Durham, Raleigh was hosting the NCAA tournament themselves, and so the hotels in that region are already a little bit strained. So that's kind of one thing to think about. But I just think in general, the point of March Madness, we're trying to figure out who the best teams are. Let's put them on neutral courts and decide it, because it's nice to earn a home game. I get it. You had a great regular season. You get to play at home. But I think it's to the point now, like we see conference tournaments in the women's game that are at neutral sites, and there's a really good crowds, and it's only growing and getting better. So I think that would be a great step in the right direction, because part of the magic and fun of March Madness that we all think about and remember is the upsets. Yeah. And it's so hard for even a 10 seed like Oregon, but a small school, 14 seed, to go into these powerhouse places like Matthew Knight Arena and get a win. So let's give them a chance, right?
That's part of, I think, the magic of that team that won at Duke for the women. Gosh, 8 years ago now. Mm-hmm. That was the magic. Anyway, I he's mentioned that. Coach Graves has a few times. I've talked to him about it a number of times at this point. So, in any case, we're going to get a timeout and come back and hear more from Coach Graves. A long conversation reviewing the season. Chris sitting down with KG next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCAA. Equal housing opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Duck Insider continues from the Country Financial Studios in 1 minute on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, so what's a great way to spread awareness that driving high is illegal everywhere? A catchy song, of course.
You can run, but you can't drive high. You can run, but you can't drive high.
Friendly reminder, don't drive high. If you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
when the storm rolls in, my time to find a pet-friendly evacuation center will have run out.
The scorching heat wave will leave me powerless to cool my insulin.
I'll face a hurricane without meds. Now that's a tough pill to swallow.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you inside the Country Financial Studio. Yesterday afternoon, Chris Clayton, voice of the Oregon women's team, he sat down with Oregon women's basketball head coach Kelly Graves. So you heard part one, just talking about the season that was, and now talking about the players and the future ahead for this team, turning the page toward a new season. Part two of Chris's conversation with Oregon women's head coach Kelly Graves.
You know what else I thought was special, too, about the trip to Durham and to go to an iconic place like Cameron Indoor Stadium again, like 2017, but to see all these seniors' families there. Nani Falatea's big group is there. Her husband,
It's a big family there.
Kingsley Sumatea of the Kansas City Chiefs is there. Your sons are there. And they're so tall, when they stand up and heckle the refs, everybody can see them. It was just really cool to see the Duck fans and family there. It's just such a big impact.
Yeah, and I think it just, again, it takes a village. So it's not just us. It's not just the program. We have great kids. They come from great families. Great kids don't often come from idiot parents, right?
Right, yes.
Yeah, it was just an amazing year. It truly was. Mm-hmm. And I hate to look in the past, but we struggled last year. It was not easy in a lot of different ways, and to have the turnaround that we did, I think is just huge credit to my staff. You know how hard they work and what a great job they do, and then just an amazing group of players. So I think all of whom have told me that they want to be back. Mm-hmm. So we've got something to build on.
Well, and I think with this team, you brought in 7 transfers, and now we think about this next potential class of transfers maybe you bring in for the next season. How much do you factor in the talent and the accolades a player has and their character? This is obviously a very high-character team. Is there a way you can vet that now with potential new players?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, as soon as we get a name or we know who we want, in ability, we look at them. I make calls. I'm one of those. I still make calls. I make calls to their coach. I make calls to opposing coaches. What are they like character-wise? I get on their social media, their Instagram, Snapchat, or not Snapchat.
TikTok.
TikTok, yes. TikTok and X. And just see what kind of person they are. You can tell a little bit about them. And, they've got to pass that test. We're not going to bring in knuckleheads because you spend a lot of time with them. I spent more time with my team this year than I did my family. So you don't want to chase around idiots.
Right. We're talking with Oregon head coach Kelly Graves. All right, so take me through this week. You come back from Durham. What's it been like, and what's the process going like so far?
Well, I'm actually going to join another. I was ready to jump on the men as well, and Dana had a great year, and I know they lost a tough one too. That was a tough Sunday for Ducks to take. Yeah. Two good games, two good teams, and we're out. But my son, of course, is an assistant coach on the University of Florida men's basketball team, and so I'm going to head down to San Francisco tomorrow and kind of go along for the Gator ride and see how long that goes. And, spend some time, in the desert a little bit. Mm-hmm. The team has this week off. We're going to probably give them another 2 weeks. They'll get together and play, but we're actually mandated to give our team some time off. Mm-hmm. I would have done it anyway, but it's one of those Big Ten and NCAA rules. We need to give them a little bit of time off. At the start of the quarter especially, I think it's important they get off on the right foot, get their academics in order, and then we'll be back, and guess what? By mid-April, we'll be working our team out, our returners. We'll be preparing our seniors for pro ball or the draft or whatever. So, there's a lot of work to be done. But I think it's important to take a little bit of time off and get rejuvenated a little bit.
Now, with your staff and you guys, your strategies in terms of who you're going to go after in the portal. Do you guys have meetings and everybody has their prospects you think you could go after? How does it go in terms of the team effort among your coaching staff?
We've been in the offices this morning since 7. It's kind of a war room. It's actually really fun. We're putting up on the board, and then we put who we've contacted, who we've reached out, who's texted us back or called us back, and then we're in the process of we'll start bringing players in on visits here shortly. It's funny, you spend a ton of time, you spend years sometimes recruiting high school players, and you might get 2 or 3, sign them, but it takes a lot of time, right? They take a lot of time to make their decision. This portal thing, it opens and closes in less than a week.
Oh, man.
Some of these kids that went in today will be making a decision by this weekend.
Right.
So you've got to jump on it quick and be real efficient. So the staff is dialed in. We have an analytics person in the room.
Nice.
And Theo does an awesome job. And so he's punching up all these numbers. As soon as we get a name, somebody we like, and boom, 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 he's punching in their efficiency numbers. It's actually kind of fun.
Yeah, it sounds
I
fun.
wish I should have told you guys we could have had a camera in there.
Oh, that would have been great.
And it would have been kind of interesting and
like
fun.
a Hard Knocks.
I remember when we had that huge signing day. Do I have to get off? Oh, we had that huge – well, you can edit this. You can edit it. So we had that huge signing day when Sabrina, Ruthie, Mallory McGuire, all those kids signed. Rob Mosley spent the day with us on signing day. Remember that piece? It was really good, and we would get the facts, and we could announce another one and another one, and we ended up getting seven people that year, and that was an amazing class. Changed the trajectory of the program forever.
Right. Well, I want to pop on from the director's chair.
Oh,
if I can. This is
hello.
weird. No, this is a strange thing for me. But I want to remind everybody that piece. We also had like the true time lapse period of like, okay, so here's what the room looked like. Here's what it became by the end. There were a lot of coffee cups.
Yeah.
That's what happens, right, Coach?
Oh yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Kind of fun.
Yeah, thank goodness we live in Oregon,
That's
where
right.
there's an abundance of great coffee.
That's right.
Some days like this are what really kind of keep you going. It is fun, and the portal, I think people view it as a negative, and it is to some degree, but it's a positive too. I think both for the student athlete and then for us. It gives us a chance to, again, start fresh. Look how the portal changed our fortune in 1 year. And I think those, for the people that don't like it, it's here to stay.
Right.
700 men I saw went in yesterday, first day.
Yeah.
And I think we're above that today.
Yeah, the women are up over 700. I just checked that.
Yeah.
Yep. It's crazy.
Crazy.
It is.
Craziness.
Yeah. And as you think about who you're going to go after, what are kind of the main, probably depends on the player, but what are the main characteristics you look for in a player that will fit?
Well, characteristics are different than the talent,
Okay.
the position. Yep. We feel like we have certain needs, and sometimes that need is just depth, But we need some players that obviously can come in and help us right away, and produce for us. But the reality is, look at the players we have back, at the point position. Elisa Mevius, Katie Fiso. Those are two of the best in the conference.
Yep.
You've got Sophia Bell, Ari Long. Two really good, proven college basketball players. You have two freshmen come in, Sarah Barham, who just set every Oregon three-point record, both season and career, male or female, right? Kid's a walking three-point bucket. And Janiah Williams from Oklahoma, another really good all-purpose guard. Strong, can rebound, can do a little of everything. So those 6 really good guards already. And then you look at our inside players, Amina Muhammad's back. And she started for us most of the year. Sarah Rambus, who I think still has a long way to go, but she is a really good talent. Hees is still back. Philippa is back. Sammy Wagner is back. She's just been unhealthy, but so we've got a good nucleus. So we need still a little bit more. In this day and age, you've still got to always be recruiting and getting better. And so we'll bring in, number 1, good kids. Number 2, hard workers. Number 3, good students. I still think that's a priority, even for these young women that are going to 3 and 4 programs during their career. They need to be good students with graduation on their mind, and then obviously we wouldn't recruit them if they weren't fine basketball players. But I don't really want to. I'm not comfortable in saying which positions that we need and are going after.
Yeah.
But just know that we're going to bring in some good talent.
Well, yeah.
Good players.
Good players.
You know what good players do?
Win.
They win. They make the coaches look better.
That's right.
You and I, Chris, we said the exact same thing. Like, what a good play. I just yell, they win. Good players. They win. Coach Graves is like, yep. I thought that was great. We're going to get time out. We'll come back, continue with more. Kelly Graves talking with Chris Clayton here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCAA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
This is Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Comes to a gun suicide attempt, all it takes is a moment.
Heather and I had an argument just like any other couple. I was lost. I had snapped. I had a gun and I was going to take my own life. Heather helped me realize that there was still a life to live for the better of myself, my family. My weapon is now safely put away.
A moment of crisis can happen to anyone. Store your guns, locked, unloaded, and away from ammo. Hear more safe stories at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
It's Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you in the Country Financial studio. Yesterday, Chris Clayton sat down with Kelly Graves, reviewing the season that was and already looking ahead, and, of course, in very Kelly Graves fashion, having a little fun while we're at it. Let's continue hearing from the Oregon women's basketball head coach.
And with the returners you talk about, how much – you obviously want players that are gym rats. They spend a lot of time developing, working on their game. How much oversight and discussions do you have with the players about specific areas to work on?
Yeah, so the meeting I had with him yesterday was basically, this is how we want to take care of you financially going forward. It was pretty quick, pretty basic. When they come back, yes, our coaches have already developed a list of 3 or 4 things that this particular player needs to improve. And I'll tell you, good examples, Katie Fiso. Katie Fiso is a fine basketball player, you guys, and is going to be a really special point guard. She's got to get stronger. She's got to live in the weight room. I've already told her and Sarah Rambis, those two need to be great weight room buddies and get in there and just get bigger and stronger, because it's a woman's game, man, in college, especially now with all the transfer. The better teams are older teams, so they've got to do that. And everybody has 3 or 4 things. It might be, we've got to develop a better perimeter shot, or we've got to be able to score off the bounce just a little bit better, get to the rim a little bit better, and then we start to put together a training regimen for them. I have a full player development staff headed by Audie Gilden. And so, yeah, we'll be working with them. Now, there's restrictions. Thank you, NCAA. We can only work with them 4 hours a week with basketball-related activities. Even if they scrimmage and we're watching, that counts toward that 4 hours. And then they get an additional 4 hours of strength and conditioning. So we're in our 8-hour weeks now until next September or October, really, almost October. And that's it. So it's it's a little difficult. Now, we encourage our players to always get together 3 or 4 days a week and play. Just play on your own with our practice guys, or bring in other college kids from, Lane or Bushnell or anybody else kind of wants to come in play, just so they're staying fresh, keeping the legs fresh.
How about as a staff? Do you guys have meetings and maybe reflect about how you approach things, whether it's in game or just in general? Is there any strategy that going on in the offseason?
I hate formal meetings.
Okay.
So we rarely have a formal meeting. That's usually called by Brielle because she knows I would never do it. She's our Dobo. However, I will say this. We have a really close staff. We all have our offices right next to each other. We're meeting every day.
Right.
It's just not formal. So informally, we're always getting together, having fun. We'll all have lunch together, and then you talk and discuss, and you get a lot accomplished that way. But no, I've always been kind of a hands-off coach in that regard. I'm not a micromanager. Everybody's got their job, and you know what? Do it. Do your job.
Yep.
And we've been blessed. We've had great coaches that do their jobs.
Well, I mean, obviously, a season that Duck fans can be proud of, and now, for Duck fans, they're probably all thinking about the season that was and just cherishing and appreciating that. But for you, the work continues. So thank you.
Isn't that the truth, you guys? That one's done. We're already looking forward.
Right.
One of these days, I'll have a chance to sit down and smell the roses and look back and say, wow, that was pretty fun.
Right.
But until then, we got work to do.
Yeah. You have 623 wins and counting, so hopefully you can do some reflecting one day.
Yeah. Well, I've been blessed. You know how many baskets I've made in those 623 games? None. I have never gotten a rebound. I've cost us some points either with technicals or poor decisions, but I've never. Yeah, I've been real blessed, you guys. I was on a phone with a coach today and wanted to know why I liked this player, and I said, she reminds me of a lot of one Satu Sabali, and then every time I make the comparison, I have a chance to think back of how much fun it was to coach her, and Sabrina, and I got a text yesterday, two of them back-to-back within 3 minutes, one of my former Zags, one of my former Ducks. First thing both said, love you, Coach. That's why we do what we do, you guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That keeps you going. One of those was Sabrina, by the way. She's back from Asia, but she's only gotten as far back as Hawaii.
Right.
She's relaxing in Hawaii, she said. Okay.
All right.
What a life. I love that kid, man. She's making all of us Ducks proud, isn't she?
Well, and how about that? They're coming back in May.
I know.
The New York Liberty, the defending champs. That's going to be a cool experience for everybody.
The champs, man. Niara, Sabrina, and, the others.
Right.
Nobody around here cares about the others. Who's Stewie?
Right.
John Quell what? Oh, it's all about Niara and Sabrina on that trip.
It's perfect, and it should be a fun experience. Well, we'll let you get back to work, and Duck fans are really excited to be following along with all your good news that's to come. Thanks a lot, Coach.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks for everything this year, both of you.
Kelly Graves, what a guy. Looking forward to next season already. I mean, how can you not be excited about what's ahead? Just hearing that, and Chris, great interview. I compliment you on, hey, let's talk about the war room and what these things look like and what the Ducks are looking for. And look, good players, talent, right? But how about just the fun, the energy that this team demonstrated throughout this entire season? Looks like there's some momentum for Oregon women's basketball.
No doubt, and it just becomes easy to talk to him when he's in such an open and transparent mood about things. And that's kind of what I was thinking going into the conversation is how do they do this? What's the strategy behind how you select what players you're going to go after? And he also revealed that it's something that they think about during the season now.
Right.
I mean, they're invested in fully in their team, but you always kind of have to have a mind on what's going on in the future and players that they think might be in the portal, and if they were to go in the portal, would they be interested? So there's already some pre-research, if you will, done ahead of time, and then when the rubber hits the road and the portal opens, it's crazy to me that it opens while the season's still going on.
Yeah, the tournament's still being played.
Yeah, there's people still in the Sweet 16, and there's teams that are out here pursuing players that are still playing, but the Ducks coaching staff, as others are ready for it. And I think Oregon has a proven track record now with this great success this year of getting players in the portal, and you can see the passion that they have behind it. And a glimpse behind the curtain, if you will, of how Oregon is pursuing their roster next year. You don't know. They don't know who they're going to bring in for sure. Nobody does. But they're certainly going after some talented players, and they're doing the right things.
One thing's for sure, that the seasons, and this is true in every sport, the seasons turn over quicker than they've ever turned over before. And things tend to accelerate much faster now, I think, than they did even a few years ago because of the portal. And let's even take a step back. Before the portal, the coaching carousel started to spin a whole heck of a lot faster than it used to. I mean, I think everything is just so put to the front of mind for next year. And now it's like, you're making coaching decisions even much earlier in the process than used to be the case. So everything moves quicker. Everything moves quicker.
And something that you talked about yesterday is the ability and the necessity of these programs to turn the page quickly.
Yep.
I mean, everything is disappointing, right? Oregon came within, for women's basketball, just a few possessions, just a few seconds, if you will, from beating Duke, and same with the Oregon men. And they're sad about it. They're upset, but they keep it moving, and they have to. And that's sports now at the collegiate level. You don't have time to wind down and think about what could have been. If you don't keep it moving and think about what's to go in the future, then everybody else will pass you by. So it's amazing, and it's jarring to see how quickly they have to move on. And he even pointed out, he's like, one day I'll reflect on my accomplishments and losses and triumphs in college basketball, but there's no time right now. Got to keep it moving.
Yeah, you do. You do. In the spirit of keeping it moving, now let's turn the page for Oregon men's basketball. When we return, sitting down with assistant coach Mike Mena, some of his thoughts heading into now a new season for the men as well. Keep it here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Jan here. Spring is in the air. Time to get back outside with a new Toyota.
Go from dreaming it to driving it. Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Event ends March 31st. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCAA. Equal housing opportunity.
Jan here. Spring is in the air. Time to get back outside with a new Toyota.
Go from dreaming it to driving it. Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Event ends March 31st. Toyota, let's go places.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
You say you'd never give in to a meltdown and never fill your feed with kid photos. You say you'd never put a pacifier in your mouth to clean it and never let them run wild through the grocery store. So when you say you'd never let them get into a car without you there, no, it can happen. 1 in 4 hot car deaths happen when a kid gets into an unlocked car and can't get out. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
We're back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you inside the Country Financial Studio. Chris Clayton, great interview with Kelly Graves. And now on the other side of the basketball seasons, Mike Mena, Oregon men's basketball assistant coach. In a similar vein as Coach Graves, Coach Mena is always so energetic. He's just so fired up constantly. And during the NCAA tournament, there's so many media obligations for Coach Altman that it's just worked out best that we have one of the assistant coaches come out and chat. And Mike was kind enough to do it this year. And I'll tell you, you're going to hear it in his voice. Like, this was after the game. So this is, for those of you who missed it from Luke and I's post-game show, like, he was feeling it in the moment. But also just some great thoughts on the game, the season, as Mike Mena sat down with myself and Luke Jackson reflecting on a great year for Oregon men's basketball.
Man, Coach, just first, congratulations on a heck of a season. I know you don't want to hear that right now, but a 25-win season and one heck of a basketball game here. How's the locker room? What are you feeling?
Obviously, disappointed. Everybody feels like we let each other down, let the fans down, and this one's going to burn a little bit. I think anytime, and probably Luke can attest to this, anytime you let it go maybe from the free throw line. Right. You go 12-22 in a big-time game like this, you gotta convert there. But credit to Arizona. When they got down to us, they bowed up and got tougher. And instead of trying to shoot their way out of the problem, they made it a physical fight. And, that's kind of what we wanted to do.
Right.
And Coach called it at halftime. A little bit of fool's gold there. Got it going so hot.
Yep.
And kind of thought it was going to be a cruise control type game. And like I said, credit to Arizona for, punching back and reestablishing. And, it's going to be a hard one to sleep on. That's for sure.
Well, you had some great individual performances. And, let's start here. Again, your two Oregonians, Coach.
Those guys are playing at an All-American level. We've always known what kind of Jackson was capable of coming off last year. But, man, Nate, I don't want to tear up on the radio here, but, man, that kid has totally reinvented himself.
Yep.
He's, like I told you in the last radio interview, he's fallen in love with basketball again, and the sky's the limit for Nate, after a big spring and another summer, to counter what they were doing to him. They were really, really pushing him out of the paint. They were really physical with Nate tonight and kind of got in a little weird space there that first half where he thought he should have got calls and was trying to draw fouls, and he kind of turned it around at halftime. In second half, he kind of reasserted himself into who he was. So, again, the future's very bright for Nate Jackson and obviously for Oregon Duck basketball.
Coach, you had to burn a bunch of timeouts, and you found yourself with no timeouts down the last 2 minutes. Talk about the resolve and the grit of the team in those dead ball situations to claw back in this game, because it was so close for you guys pulling this thing out.
Shoot, Luke, you've been in so many of these fights, and you know how it is, man. Those timeouts become pretty valuable down the stretch, because when that fire starts breathing down your chest, you know what I mean? And what's the old, cliche, fatigue makes the coward out of anybody. So to your point, Luke, man, we were tired, you know what I mean? And but them guys bent their knees a little bit more. Coach Altmanism there, and they just kind of dug in and made a game out of it. And like I said, Luke, I wish we could have back a few more free throws, a couple little mistakes in communication, right in front of our bench. And, if you look through the course of the year, sometimes, obviously Caleb was incredible tonight, but De La Rosa, 12 points, Toby Owakwa, 12 points. He got 24 points at a couple guys that are literally 5-6 point per game type guys. Right. So they took advantage of the mistakes, and but man, no doubt about it. We got a tough bunch over there, and they showed a lot of it. KJ Evans, he was all bloodied up in his head, and over his forehead, his ear, and think about where KJ was at the beginning of the year to where he's at now. He's literally grown up in front of our eyes, very similar to Nate. So went from a young man to a grown man.
Yeah.
And again, super excited for his future.
I know it's a bit unfair, but, Coach, just to put in context, it's another 25-win season.
I hear you.
You were one of the last 32 playing.
Yep.
Sum it up for fans.
At the end of the day, when you get to that 25-win number, it's a long season. Coach Altman always says it's the longest season of any collegiate sport.
Yep.
And to Luke's point right there, the resolve and the grit. This one is going to burn, but this lesson, this season was filled with lessons. And unfortunately, this one here down the stretch is going to be a lesson that's going to burn for a while. But to your point, Joey, first time in the Big Ten Conference, great league. I think Oregon made its presence felt.
Yep.
We're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the future.
Yep.
And there's no doubt about it that we've established ourselves as one of the best college basketball programs in America. And, man, we're going to use this as incentive and motivation to take ourselves to one step further next season.
And now I know how you guys operate. Now it's time for next year.
Portal opens tomorrow.
Yeah, oh my gosh. That's crazy.
Get right to it. You know what I mean? Right to it. And I think from a recruiting standpoint, I think who wouldn't want to play with Jackson and Nate and KJ and for a Hall of Fame coach. So there's no doubt in my mind that we're going to be reloaded. You know what I mean? And then we're going to be right there in the middle of it for another March Madness run.
Love it.
And if you get KJ and Nate and Jackson, all that core with the experience of this season going through the Big Ten, who went 8-0 in that first round in the NCAA tournament to show everyone how good the league actually
100%.
was, and to get 25 wins, that's just a testament to where the program's at and the coaching staff and the job that you guys did this season.
You know, one of the things about the beautiful thing and the challenge about being in this place like Oregon is, I've always said, it's holding the championship standard.
Yep.
You know, and we take a lot of pride in, winning 20 wins, competing for championships, getting to, NCAA tournament, winning games in the tournament. And you're right, Luke. You know what I mean? It's very exciting, very motivating. Obviously, it's hard to feel that and see it now. But from a fan standpoint, you got two Oregonians and Nate and Jackson. You got, KJ Evans coming together. Bam Tracy got his year back, and he's an incredible glue guy, and he's just a force in our locker room from an energy standpoint. He gets us going, and then a couple guys that you haven't seen too much of that we expect a lot out of, Jamari Phillips, Sasha Kobazisti, and you got flashes of Mookie Cook. So we got a lot to talk about, you know what I mean, and to group up and to build on, and it's going to be a motivated spring and summer, to say the least.
Coach,
much love, fellas.
Thanks
much
for always
love,
taking
respect,
the time.
guys. You know what I mean? I appreciate all the Duck fans support us through the year. It's been we felt your energy all year, and again, we feel bad that we disappointed y'all, and I guarantee you this: we're going to come back bigger, badder, and better.
How about that from Mike Mena? I mean, right after a loss, you hear it in his voice, just the emotion. But that program, with the additions of some key transfers, coupled with the developed talent and the healthy talent that was Nate Biddle this year, Jackson Shellstad continuing to get better as a sophomore, and a lot of guys that have the chance to come back. Now, who knows what the roster makeup will be? A lot of things can change in the transfer portal era, but the truth is that Oregon does have a lot of great options coming back, and they were able to supplement this year's roster with some of those one-year transfers, which, like TJ Bamba and Brandon Angel, are actually much more akin to like the Arsalan Kazemis of the past, right? Coach Altman always used to be good for one grad transfer a year, and those guys kind of fit that bill. The Ducks really didn't have a lot of like multi-year transfer portal guys this season. That was interesting. All right, we got to get a timeout up against the clock a little bit. We'll come back, wrap it up. A lot to cover. A couple of successful days on a couple golf courses. Next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCAA. Equal housing opportunity.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. But I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. So when it comes to driving, please, don't be a multitasker.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
All right, son. Time to put out this campfire.
Dad, we learned about this in school.
Oh, did you now? Okay. What's first?
Smokey Bear said to.
First drown it with a bucket of water, then stir it with a shovel.
Wow, you sound just like him.
Then he said.
If it's still warm, then do it again.
Where can I learn all this?
It's all on SmokeyBear.com with other wildfire prevention tips, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
I'm coming home to the place that I remember, back to the land of my first love. Would you spread wide your arms for this wayward son? I left my heart in Oregon.
Back in the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you today, along with Chris Clayton in the director's chair. Acrobatics and tumbling after a 4-1 start to the regular season. Ducks are up to number 2 in the rankings released today. Ducks were ranked 4th in the preseason poll. The only loss is to top-ranked Baylor, and they will face the Bears again in Waco on April 5th before heading to Texas. The Ducks will compete at number 6 Iona on Friday. Ducks actually stayed east. I talked to Taylor Susnara a couple days ago, Oregon head coach for acrobatics tumbling, and they actually just stayed east, getting ready to compete against Iona coming up on Friday. Men's golf, Ducks entered the final round in a tie for the lead to start at the Duck Invitational on Tuesday. Oregon found itself down by 5 strokes at the turn, then a stellar back 9 from Casey Martin's team. Clutch shots on the final holes. Ducks clawed their way back, claimed the team title in their home tournament, something that Casey Martin pointed out is really hard to do. He said they were fortunate to win. It's the second win in a row for the Ducks after they won the Bandon Dunes Championship earlier this month. Don't look now, but 3 Ducks finished in the top 10, and Casey Martin may just have another national contender. Pretty impressive what he's done routinely for the Oregon men's golf program. Meanwhile, the women's golf team placed second at the Charles Schwab Women's Collegiate Invitational on Tuesday. Top 2 finish for the 4th time in 4 spring tournaments. Ducks have been 1 or 2 in every single tournament that they've played. They are ranked number 3 in the country right now. Derek Radley's team having a great season. The team continues to put together strong performances, he said. That's it for today. Tomorrow, how about this? Checking in with football.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and I dedicate a lot of my time going fast. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time-to-talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Kids ask their parents a lot of questions.
Why can't people fly?